Venn diagram of gamers and anime fans seems to be inching closer to a circle every year, which makes sense as both art forms have similarly niche origins and are now both more mainstream and accessible to a global audience than any prior point. Just as there are a wealth of games today that are chock full of anime vibes, there are loads of anime with a connection to the gaming space. Whether they be surprisingly great adaptations of a video game about the experience of being a gamer/game creator, or make playing a game central to their plot, these are the best animes about video games that you can watch today. Remake Our Life begins with 28-year-old Kyoya Hashiba completely burnt out on his life and career. The game development studio he worked for went bankrupt, and the life raft of a project he scrambled to join was cancelled shortly after he came aboard. This leaves Kyoya with very little choice but to move back in with his parents and question all of his major life decisions. Magically, he wakes up 10 years in the past just as he's about to enter college, and vows to make a better future for himself. Layoffs, studio closures, and general career instability are fixtures of the gaming industry in 2024, and it's cathartic to see Remake Our Life address the realities of working in this industry from the get-go. What follows this first episode is a cozy exploration of young, passionate people learning firsthand about the highs and lows of working in creative fields like game development. If you work in any industry in the digital media bubble and feel the dread that's related to that bubble deflating over the past half a year, this anime is a heartwarming reminder of why we got into this line of work and how the highs more than make up for the lows. Is an anime that's functionally a commercial for a video game that was so broken at launch that it was delisted from storefronts, arguably the least punk thing ever? Well, yes, but even the haters have to admit that Studio Trigger's Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a lavishly produced spectacle that serves as a solid entryway to the broader anime landscape. It's also a fantastic example of the looser approach to adaptation that makes so many anime based on video games feel like a delightful expansion of those universes. Taking place in Night City, the principal location of both Cyberpunk 2077 and the Cyberpunk tabletop game, this anime follows David Martinez, a young man who becomes an augmented mercenary, or edgerunner, after a drive-by shooting kills his mother. What follows is a gripping story about people trying to have any semblance of comfort or security under late-stage capitalism, and that system beating them back down at every possible opportunity. Cyberpunk Edgerunners is a great anime if you're in the mood for a cool-looking, feel-bad time. With how ubiquitous the franchise is to both American and global audiences, it's both weird and necessary to point out that the Pokemon anime is, in fact, an anime. Before Pokemon was a multimedia juggernaut, it was a couple of video games that sold well enough to adapt the games into an anime. What would follow is a decade-spanning television show with over 1,200 episodes that proved integral to making Pokemon the cultural institution it is today. While we would get some more direct anime versions of the Pokemon Red and Blue games in the form of Pokemon Origins, the mainline Pokemon anime decides to follow a new character, Ash Ketchum, as he explores the world of Pokemon on his journey to become a Pokemon Master. This direction for the anime plays into the greatest strength of the Pokemon games, the terrific world building that inspires the player to imagine their own adventure in this world. Seeing a fleshed out version of this new trainer's journey fed into the fantasy and created countless lifelong video game and anime fans. Though developed by Frederator Studios and Powerhouse Animation Studios, which are two US-based production companies, the Castlevania shows are simply too sick to not count as an honorary anime. Loosely following the events of the games, the Castlevania anime follows Trevor Belmont, and later his descendant, as he and his vampire-hunting contemporaries battle Dracula and his demonic horde. Castlevania excels at nailing the tone and ambiance of the games it's based on better than any other video game adaptations on this list. While the exploration elements of the Castlevania games would prove foundational in developing game design, hence the Metroidvania genre, people were coming to the Castlevania games for the vibes. The Castlevania anime perfectly captures the gothic action that the games invoke and the absolute thrill of charging in against an untold number of monstrosities in a battle against the legendary fiend. As one might guess from their overtly anime art style, there are a host of anime adaptations for the most recent Persona games. There are a total of 4 Persona 3 movies, a loose sequel to Persona 3 titled Persona Trinity Soul, 2 different anime series adapting Persona 4, a Persona 5 the animation series, and several other Persona 5 one-shot anime episodes. These adaptations are more straightforward than the other adaptations of video games on this list, generally being closer to retellings of the games that they are based on. Considering those games are 80 plus hours of some of the most difficult and demanding turn-based gameplay in the genre, these direct adaptations are more than welcome. The Persona series is more popular than it's ever been, and these anime are a great way to see what all the fuss is about without committing a good chunk of your time and money to them. The 2010s mega hit Sword Art Online is the reason why there are so many anime today that take place in fantasy worlds incorporating video game mechanics. Trapped in a brand new virtual reality MMORPG, also titled Sword Art Online, our protagonist Kirito has to fight for his life as he can only escape by beating the game and will die in real life if he dies while playing. This anime is first and foremost a power fantasy for its presumed young male audience, but its blending of the game of death and sci-fi genres is still novel and appealing today. Video games are better than any other artistic medium at making a player feel great for engaging with the art form and slowly mastering a game system and mechanics. Sword Art Online does an amazing job of translating that feeling into an anime, and the first half of its first season is a rock-solid experience that anime fans new and old should check out. In many ways, the polar opposite of Remake Our Life, Welcome to the NHK is an anime about how passions around media, and possibly creating media like video games, are sometimes the only things keeping people going. This anime follows Tatsuhiro Sato, a hikikomori, which is a social recluse who refuses to or is unable to engage with society or even leave their home or bedroom, who has turned to conspiracy theories to explain his unhappiness and niche, often problematic media to dull his depression. To try to better himself, Sato helps his more socially attuned neighbor develop an eroge game and is forced by a good Samaritan to go outside for more than just food. This anime spends most of its runtime, though, exploring Sato's deeply misanthropic mentalities. Welcome to the NHK is a weird anime that's as critical of its main character and subject matter as it is thorough in its exploration of the real-life benefits and ideologies that its protagonist embodies. To offer a point of comparison, if you like the tone and politics of the No More Heroes games, Welcome to the NHK is more than worth checking out. Unless this is your first time reading an article on a video game website or watching a video on a video game YouTube channel, in which case, welcome, and thanks for choosing this one, you've probably heard of the monumental Dragon Quest gaming franchise. What you might not know, though, is that these games inspired the quietly seminal shonen manga series Dragon Quest Adventures of Dai, and that this manga was recently adapted into an anime. Dragon Quest The Adventure of Dai follows a young boy raised by monsters named Dai, who turns out to be a legendary hero and, in typical Dragon Quest fashion, has to save the world from the Demon Lord. Adventures of Dai is a solid, all-ages watch and a great way to learn about the origins of many storytelling conventions in the shonen anime genre. The manga it's based on ran in the iconic Shonen Jump magazine right after Fist of the North Star wrapped, and released alongside more overtly influential genre staples like Dragon Ball and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Especially with Dragon Quest character designer Akira Toriyama's recent passing, there's never been a better time to check out this anime and see how games have been quietly influential in the anime medium for decades. One of the most grounded anime about video games, My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999, focuses on the lives and relationships of the gamers who make up its main cast. Following a breakup with an ex who's cheated on her, Akane Kinoshita ends up meeting up the standoffish Akito Yamada while playing the MMO that her ex got her into. What follows is a cozy slice-of-life romance that's a great watch for anyone looking for a new comfort show. For as popular as gaming is today, it's strange that there are so few shows that show how casually games fit into people's lives. My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999 is a great depiction of gaming as a hobby and how meaningful the relationships formed thanks to that hobby are to people. If Sword Art Online is the anime that popularized the trapped in the game subgenre, then Log Horizon is the anime that perfected that kind of storytelling. For as strong an opening as SAO has, it doesn't really ground itself in the mechanics and unique tensions that any seasoned MMO player knows all too well. After all, MMO players know that there's plenty of story material to be mined from the gameplay and social dimensions of this kind of game, like the process of researching a dungeon, planning a raid, and then convincing guild or party members to go along with the plan and stick to their assigned roles. Log Horizon faithfully brings these situations and processes to life. It also helps that Log Horizon's protagonist, Shiroi, plays as a dedicated support class and is less of a vehicle for audience projection than Kirito is in SAO. Log Horizon understands the unique drama and experiences that video games can provide and is easily one of the best anime about video games. These are the animes we'd recommend for any fans of games. Be sure to check back for even more anime stories as part of Anime Week, and for everything else, keep it right here on IGN.